Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Team podcast, Formula One this time. It's been a while since we actually did an episode, but after everything that happened at Monza, we just had to make one episode. It really left us no choice in that aspect. And as usual, I'm your host Tarun, and joining me we have our TNT member Yash,
Hey
and
guys.
Sharat, who's become quite a bit of a regular on this show now, and who has a very eerie streak of always popping up when Max doesn't finish a race. Yeah, and of course, Sharat is clad in orange because it's a special occasion. Not for Max, no. It's a different orange this time. It's a papaya, more like. Am I right, Sharat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the episode proper, our substitute message man Yash has some messages for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for all your support for all our previous videos from all the different categories of sports we're doing. So do be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Next Team SG, and also on Spotify and YouTube for all our episodes at the Next Team Podcast.
All right, thank you, Yash. And with that, let's get right into the weekend. And starting off, we have to obviously talk about Sprint Quali, the second one we've had this year. So what's our initial thoughts now that we are two races into Sprint Quali? I remember last time out we said we had to give it a bit more time, and one more race in. What do you guys think? Maybe Sharat, do you want to start things off?
Well, I mean, I don't think it made much of a difference to the actual grid that was set on Friday. But I mean, at the same time, it offered some form of action. I think there's still a few things that need to be tweaked if we want to see sprint quali, in the future. Yeah, that's just my thoughts at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, I would say it did make a difference in terms of the result we got on Sunday, because Ricciardo was the one who managed to get on in top. Where did he finish? Third, right? I think third or second. Third, right? Yeah.
Third, yeah. Then he moved up to second because of the penalty.
Yeah, the Bottas penalty. Exactly. Yeah. So in that sense, that kind of helped him because on, I think, raw pace in qualifying, you wouldn't see McLaren up there, in that position. So I guess it does offer that kind of, unpredictability if you have it. Let's say if someone has a bad race, then, some of the other guys have the opportunity of starting ahead and getting an even better result on Sunday, as we saw what happened at MONZA, which we'll get to shortly, of course. So I mean, yeah, for sure. I think it's there's a lot of tweaking, like Sharat said. You have to do a lot of things to get it right. And I feel it's better if we have Saturday, like sprint race as a standalone, which I think there's some rumors that they're thinking of doing it as standalone and not affecting the grid on Sunday, which I think is a better way to go forward to, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I personally, maybe it's just because it's Monza, it doesn't it's not the kind of track that offers a lot of overtaking opportunities in the opening 20 or so laps. And I think that kind of showed in the sprint quali, especially after, like, the race start was exciting. Obviously, we had a lot of good moves up there. First couple of laps, there was a bit of action, but after it kind of just mellowed out. And
the DRS train, basically.
Yeah, the DRS train was a bit like there wasn't much to watch, and it just felt a bit more like an extension of the race itself rather than a standalone event, sort of.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, I mean, I guess there should be some tweaks. I'm not sure what to suggest at this point, but the clever people.
I guess we can talk about it more after the final sprint race, which I think they haven't decided where it's going to be, right?
Yeah, they haven't decided. I hope it's like Brazil, maybe. That would be nice.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, so well, that's sprint quali, the second one we've had. We'll come back to you again after the third one has happened, and we can really give our final results, final thoughts on it then. So of course, moving into the weekend itself.
But actually, before we just move in, I just want to give a shout out to Bottas, who got pole on quali and did well. Technically won the sprint race as well.
Yeah, he did.
So shout out to him. I think he had a really good weekend overall, Bottas. Yeah.
it's kind of like sometimes drivers just get a bit more. They have something more to prove after they've been axed by the team, and maybe that's just how it was for Valtteri. Yep. So moving on to Sunday itself, a very spicy little race that we had, full of ups and downs, more downs than ups if you're a Lewis or Max fan. So I mean, we'll just start by talking about the incident that happened on Sunday. Now, I have an idea of what both of you guys think about the incident itself and the penalty. So maybe let's just hear it, for the people listening in. Maybe Yash, your thoughts.
To me personally, I felt it's a racing incident. I wouldn't blame any of the drivers personally, because if you look at it, Lewis just came out of the pits and he kind of like went really wide, and Max was, he's closing down at 200 miles an hour into the first corner. So he was clearly on the outside there, Max. But at the same time, Lewis kind of like pushed him wide if you look at it. But then it also comes to Max that Max should have known better that there's a sausage curb there, and he maybe should have backed out. But then of course he wouldn't know that Lewis is going to, squeeze him until so much that he would go onto the sausage curb, So in my opinion, it's more of a racing incident. So I really don't understand why he's given a 3-place grid penalty for next race. What's your thought, Sharad?
Initially, I think I spoke to you actually. I think initially it was a racing incident, and then I spent a few days on Twitter, on YouTube, looking at all the different analyses. Then I realized maybe Max is a bit more to blame, just purely on the fact that he could have cut the corner. That like it's Monza turn 1. I think if you know you're not going to make the corner, and you know that it's going to be a implication on safety, you might as well cut the corner. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I think Lewis should have given more space. I think Max wouldn't have known that Lewis would have basically closed the door on him. But
yeah, I think the issue there was because in Monza turn 1, right, the sausage curb is pretty huge and it's pretty long as well.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard for him to cut the corner at the same time, especially if he has to back out late. Compared to, if you remember in lap 1, Lewis and Max, I can't remember, was it lap 1 or what, but Lewis and Max basically came together in the second chicane where Lewis basically cut the corner. But that was because, the runoff was, in a way, it wasn't that, there wasn't any sausage curb there, to kind of hamper Lewis. And Lewis also backed out pretty early at the same time. I guess, that's your argument. Probably Max could have backed out a lot earlier. But then my counter argument would be like, he wouldn't have expected Lewis to close him down so quickly at the end of, into the middle of the second, like the first corner.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at the end of the day, these are, split second decisions. That,
exactly.
So, I mean, I can't really say much.
It's honestly very instinctive, I feel. It's not like you really even have a time to think about it. You just, oh shit, just go out or something. It's kind of like, pretty instinctive to my opinion. What about you, Tarun?
Yeah, I actually do think it's a racing incident. I'm guessing you guys might have expected me to say the penalty was fair, but I don't think so. Because, I mean, if you look at it from Lewis's point of view, he did make the apex at turn 1. And I think he did the right thing in that situation, because he was just trying to make the apex at turn 2 as well. So he was taking the racing line through the corner. And at the same time, you can't blame Max because he's going around the outside. But when they're both into turn 1, they can both see that there's a bit of space, like very instantaneously, very, very briefly. And I think Max would definitely have gone for it. I think anyone would have gone for it. Because in that situation, you probably wouldn't expect the other driver to take the apex as well. Because at that point, Lewis is kind of on the outside, so he should be supposedly giving Max a bit more space, or at least that's what the driver on the inside would be expecting from the other driver.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lewis still has the right to take the racing line. And also, it's just in the heat of the moment, you wouldn't be over calculating these kind of things. And so that's pretty much it. I think the only thing for me was that Max was coming in very, very aggressively into turn 1, and I don't think he could have actually made turn 2 with that speed and the angle that he was going into. He probably couldn't have slowed down enough to go through turn 2 without contact.
Yeah, but we wouldn't know of that because the contact was already before turn 2 in a way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the sausage curb, yeah. But yeah, I get your point. He did look quite hot into that corner. So when he made that move, like it was kind of like just a send it move, you know.
I'm quite sure he braked a lot later into turn 1 because he saw Lewis coming out of the pits.
Yeah, definitely.
And he had to get into the corner.
And also the difference here was the closing speed, because Lewis came out of pit, so his closing speed was a lot slower compared to Max. Because Max was a lot faster. Correct. So that made a difference. So that's why I probably looked more aggressive, because he just closed down a lot. He was a lot faster in general when he came out. So yeah, but I think it's a racing incident, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But one thing which I'm glad about is that both of them are out of the race. Yeah. Because I don't want something like Silverstone happening again, where someone else takes all the points. It doesn't deprive us of a good championship fight. It's still like what I think 5 points difference. I think.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, so that's good, I guess.
Yep. I mean, we definitely have to mention safety in F1 has come such a long way, because I think even if you just look back a few years to like pre-Halo times, this could have been possibly a fatal accident. But
Definitely.
yeah. But what do you guys think of sausage curbs by itself? Do they belong on a circuit, especially one as high speed as Monza?
Sure, you can go first.
I mean, the whole point of a sausage curb is just so that the drivers don't get an advantage, right? By exploiting the track limits or whatnot. Yeah, but at the same time, if it's this dangerous, maybe they need to look at it again.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not just here. I think Austria and a couple other tracks has had issues with sausage curbs also.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the issue about track limits are what they can just give you time penalty. Honestly, exactly. Like if you cut too many often, then just give you a time penalty. At least I feel maybe if there wasn't a sausage curb there, right, we might not have had a crash. Yeah. Maybe a bit of taps, but not a crash.
Yeah. And I would assume that if there was no sausage curb there, it would have been a lot easier for Max to cut the corner as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, that did happen, and the penalty, do you guys think it will mean Red Bull take the engine penalty for Max next race?
No, I don't think so. Because it's just 3 places grid penalty, If he gets pole, he can just start P4. So it's not too bad for him, honestly. A grid, unless Max has a really poor qualifying, which I don't think is going to happen. Or he crashes out of qualifying, then they'll take engine penalty. But otherwise, I don't think they'll compromise just because it's a penalty. Compromise is potentially his entire race. Yeah.
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah. So anything else on the incident?
Because I think we shouldn't forget, because Red Bull are also challenging for the constructors, and if I'm not wrong, true. Right now they are behind Mercedes in constructors. Yep. So yeah.
I mean, to be fair, at some point both Lewis and Max have to take an engine penalty. That they'll probably do at a circuit where I guess they can overtake more. Maybe Austin or something. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, Sochi, you can overtake actually. It's the first 1-2 corner is really short, long basically. And then the DRS straight at the back straight is also pretty long. So you can overtake, but I think it's a lot harder to follow in Sochi as well, because there's a lot of 90-degree fast speed corners.
Yeah.
So yeah. But actually the good things about Sochi is that there's literally no tire deck, I think. Yeah. If I'm not wrong. It's always just one stop. So could be actually, you never know. Because they can just run very long into the first stint and then get a good advantage at the end with the soft tires. Who knows? Let's see.
Yeah, we might have an interesting Sochi for the first time in who knows how long.
Mazepin for pole.
That's cool.
Home race.
Mother Russia. That's right.
Is that everything for the Hamilton Verstappen incident?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And moving on, obviously we have to talk about why Charlotte is dressed like that. A 1-2 for McLaren after, what is it, 11 years, I think.
Fun fact, this is the only 1-2 this year as well by any team.
Yep, that is
And
correct.
McLaren is the first one to do it. So
Yash, of course, we have to go to you, McLaren fan.
yep.
How are you feeling today?
Brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. Buzzing. It's been a long time, I think. I read this stat on Twitter. I think it was 3,219 days or something since the last time McLaren won a race. So I don't even know which year that was. Was it 2011, you said, Darren?
2011?
I think it was the Canada
so.
race. Yeah. It's a very long time back. So yeah, it's good, man. It's good to see McLaren back at the top step. I mean, obviously, this time, luckily, circumstances went our way. But it's massive for us, because we got a 1-2. We got a big kind of a sort of lead compared to Ferrari now. It's what, I think 15 points or something? I don't know. I don't have the constructors up with me right now. But I know it's a pretty decent lead in terms of constructors. And considering where usually Ferrari and McLaren fight for positions, which is like about 10 points or so each race, it's a significant lead in that sense, because we know that this is not going to come often for McLaren or even Ferrari to be at the top steps to gain this big of a point advantage. So yeah, I'm very happy, man, especially for Daniel Ricciardo as well. After the seasons he has had, people have doubted him a lot. But I think he has answered his doubters really well, because MONZA is also one of the tracks which is you need to be really good at braking, because there's a lot of heavy braking zones. So yeah, and he out-qualified Lando as well, I think. Did he in qualifying itself? Yeah, he out-qualified Lando.
Yeah.
He out-qualified basically in sprint race as well and in race as well. So I guess Daddy Rick is back, hopefully. Yeah.
I mean, but do you see the win coming at any point during the weekend?
I didn't see it. Like, of course, initially when like Ricciardo started P2, I was like, okay, maybe there's a chance if Ricciardo goes P1. But then even after he goes P1, I was like, okay, Max is probably going to overtake him very easily.
Yeah, he was very close for most of the time.
Yeah, long time. Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, okay. But then the moment I knew Max screwed up his pit stop, I was like, shit, Ricciardo might actually get P1. But then the whole Lewis and Max crash actually made me a bit. I was a bit scared, because I thought that crash would kind of screw up Lando, especially because everyone would pit under safety car. So I was a bit like, oh shit, where's Lando going to end up? But luckily, he just ended up P3 at the safety car restart. So I guess everything just turned really well for us. And then you got to give credit to Lando as well, because he made a brilliant move over Charles to get P2.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, very aggressive.
Very ballsy.
It. Exactly. So yeah, very good weekend for McLaren. Very happy.
Yeah, sure they'll be extremely excited to be picking up such a massive points haul for sure. Charlotte, do you have anything to add?
I mean, both Daniel and Lando very ballsy throughout the whole weekend, especially the starts at the sprint quali, I think, and the actual race itself. Lando going around, I think the outside of Lewis at the start. I'm not a bit blur on this, but yeah. And the way Lando drove during sprint quali and the race to keep Lewis behind for that long, and some of his defensive moves also. Yeah, I mean, have to give him full credit. I think him and Daniel, they did everything perfectly. I don't think they did anything wrong, if I'm honest. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, the pressure was actually on Ricciardo. You could say in a way, to deliver, because he was leading, Max was behind him.
Yeah,
and arguably McLaren's a slower car, so all credits to him, I guess.
Yep. And I mean you don't have to say that it was a track that suited McLaren a lot because of the PU in particular.
You could say that, yeah, for sure.
But still, to take a race win, I think it's something that it's not. You don't just get that with the PU or just the car alone.
Yeah, you need a bit of talent and luck as well, which McLaren got both of it this weekend.
Yep. So I mean, we talked about McLaren. Obviously, let's also talk about the closest competitors they have right now. Ferrari, it was a decent result for them, especially considered the last time they were here, it was, super bad. But not ideal for a home race, but wasn't too bad, I think. Do you guys think they are maybe improving? Are they on the rise now?
I would say so, I guess. I mean, it's a decent result, P5, P4 and P6.
4 and 6.
Yeah, 4 and 6. That's actually pretty good for Ferrari, considering that, power unit is their worst is their Achilles heel, basically, in terms of our package. So, and Monza is definitely everything power unit, apart from that little bit of a middle sector. So I guess in that sense, they did really well. And in fact, Charles was actually closing Bottas towards the end also, if you noticed.
Yeah, I was a little bit scared at that point.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the checkered flag came in time.
Yeah, so I guess they're definitely on the rise in a way. Maybe I think the new Rex might help them really. I think their focus is on that as well, to just get those new regulations right so that they can, from the first season itself, compete at the top. Obviously, we don't know how all the teams are going to adapt, but I'm still pretty sure that the top three will probably be Ferrari, like 4 would be Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull and Mercedes, even in the new era still. Because they just have, all those resources to basically get things right, I guess.
But don't forget Haas, they've been devoting so much time and resources.
I mean, honestly, if they're still at the back of the grid, considering that, then I think whoever's managing Haas should just get fired, to be honest. Yeah.
But actually, I mean, coming to the weekend, I did not expect Ferrari to be finishing this high on this kind of a track. So I think it was a bit of a surprise for sure. I mean, it wasn't a pleasant surprise for me because they were just all over the back of Bottas for too long and kind of uncomfortable in that aspect. But still, it's always nice to see a team kind of back where they belong in the sense. And Tifosi, of course, would have been pretty happy with that. So I guess that sums up the main parts of a weekend of Monza madness.
What about Ferrari? What do you think about Ferrari?
I mean, they said themselves that it was better than expected, if I'm honest. Because I think even in qualifying, they qualified, I think it was 7 and 8 or somewhere towards the rear end of the top 10. So I think Leclerc himself was very shocked that he had a chance to go for podium. So yeah, I mean, before the weekend, Carlos himself said, don't expect Ferrari to be on the podium. And yeah, I think they just kept the expectations low. So I think they'll be happy with a P4 and a P6.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Surprisingly, it was their race trim that helped them more than the quali because after the first quali, they were 7-8. But they actually both of them moved up in sprint and then again in the race itself. So, do we have anything else to add? If not,
Williams got points as well. George Russell.
George Russell, man.
9th, right? Yeah.
9th. Surprising also, to be honest. Because Monza's, I think, not a track which Williams usually do well. Do they, actually? I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah, because the other teams are usually pretty good at Williams, on Monza itself. So for Russell to get P9 actually it's incredible. I mean, I guess it also had the fact that, both Verstappen and Lewis got, DNF'd. And actually, I just realized, fun fact, this was Lewis's first DNF in 3 years.
63 races.
Yeah, that is insane. I mean, holy shit.
Guess what's Russell's number?
63, yeah.
Oh.
The coincidence.
Oh no.
Illuminati confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's just astonishing, like the only DNFs he had, I think the last one was in Malaysia, wasn't it? 2016. Oh no, I can't remember. I think he had one more DNF after that. But the only DNF I really vividly remember is Malaysia 2016, where his engine went off, and that's the reason why he lost the championship to Rosberg that year. So I mean, that's a mad statistic, man. Honestly, like holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good weekend when Williams making points isn't on the front pitch.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair to Williams, Latifi was actually in the points for most of it. But then he got unlucky with the safety car and everything. He actually overtook Ocon, I think, at the start of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, he was ahead, I think.
He was ahead of Russell actually for most of the race, but then the safety car, I think, screwed him over. So
right.
On that aspect, I think Williams have a very good driver for next year. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm really glad, that they're keeping Latifi. I mean, people might say Latifi is not, in a way a paid driver because his dad kind of owns part of Williams ownership as well, I think. But I think Latifi has really good talent. He's similar to Stroll, I would say. Like, does his work quietly, diligently, doesn't make too many mistakes. And yeah, I guess if you give him a better package, I'm sure he can perform relatively well. Obviously not at George's level, but I think for a team where Williams are right now, I think he's a fantastic driver. And to have Alex Albon coming in next year in that team, I think it's going to be a good step for them. I just hope they can really get their regulations good and right so that they can at least compete for the midfield as well, the points position regularly. Because now, honestly, getting points for Williams is like, oh, it's a major surprise, Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could just take a minute or two, talk about the driver changes that we are going to see next year. Of course, we mentioned Albon to Williams. It's a pretty solid driver, but the biggest one, I think, would still be George to Mercedes. There's a lot of speculation as to whether, is he just going to be Lewis's second driver, or is he going to actually have a chance at the team? Is he just going to be Bottas 2.0? Personally, I don't think they will take the risk of doing that because George is like their future option in the same way Red Bull have Max and Ferrari have Charles and so on. He's the future option, and I don't think they will do something that will upset him or make him feel like a less of a driver as compared to the other one. So, I mean, as a Mercedes fan, I'm extremely excited to be seeing George in a Mercedes car that fits him properly, and hopefully he doesn't, screw up. No messy pit stops.
I think the reason why Bottas became technically a wingman is I feel Bottas kind of allowed himself to become a wingman in a way that although he used to be good in qualifying, but in race stream he just was nowhere near Hamilton, and that kind of allowed him to become a wingman, I feel. And I feel that's something with George will not allow Lewis to be, because I think George definitely has a lot better racecraft, and I think he definitely has incredible qualifying pace. I mean, he's Mr. Saturday, so I'm sure he'll do fine with Lewis in qualifying as well. And in terms of race stream, I think it will eventually come to him. So maybe you might give him a few races, maybe the first 5-7 races to get accustomed to the car. But I'm sure very soon he will easily challenge Lewis up top, for the wins. That's provided Mercedes will be up top in 2022. Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you never know, man. They might just become a Haas 2.0.
It would be such a Russell thing to move to Mercedes, and then suddenly Williams are racing for the title and Mercedes are not.
Exactly, yeah. But I do feel George he can be really quick off the straight itself, because I mean we saw what he did in soccer straight off, just 2-3 days in the car and he immediately delivered, So I don't see why not, with a good preseason testing and everything. I think he can, in fact, not just 5-6 races, he can maybe immediately even challenge Lewis at top.
Yep. Sharat, you were starting to say something?
I mean, I echo whatever Yash said. I think it's going to take a few races, I suspect, because it's a new team. We've seen a lot of drivers this year, like Ricciardo, like Checo. They need a bit of time to integrate with a new car. So yeah, probably the first few races, he may not, be up there with Lewis, but maybe, towards the summer break, or maybe even before that, we might see him challenging Lewis. So yeah, I'm hoping for a good inter-team battle. Hopefully, we see something. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I don't think like Mercedes would risk this becoming toxic as well in a way that how it happened between Rosberg and Hamilton, because I think Mercedes know that Lewis probably has another 2-3 years max, and after like his current contract is until 2023, I think.
Yeah.
So if you consider that at least 2 years minimum, so and George is definitely the future for them, you know. So they wouldn't do anything to kind of risk. In fact, what I feel it might happen like a Ferrari situation where how Ferrari kind of favored Charles in a way they compared to Seb, because they felt that Seb was coming to the end of his Ferrari tenure basically. But I don't think Mercedes are that disrespectful as the Italians are. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
I mean, even with Bottas leaving, they handled it very, very well.
Yeah, they did it really well, to be honest. They let him get a seat first, announce his place first before announcing Russell. So that was pretty classy by them, actually. And I guess it helps because I think Bottas's agent is, I think, Toto Wolff. So it kind of helps that in that regard as well.
But I think we all have to admit that Russell to Mercedes is the worst kept secret of Formula One, in a very long time.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, we didn't really talk much about the two races before that, the triple header, but I think we can sum it up in like 30 seconds. What was it? Spa, he just rained all weekend, and we had a surprise second place from George, and he finished second. And Max won in Zandvoort, and that's it. That's all that happened in the two races before that.
Yeah. I mean, Zandvoort, I feel it's a really nice track. I just want to say nice track, good atmosphere and everything. Like to drive and to see the cars on it's really great. But in terms of racing, let's just be honest, it's not the greatest of places to race, because it's in a way similar to Monaco. If you look at it, it's pretty narrow, twisty as well. Yeah, just that it has a lot of runoff areas.
Very high speed Monaco, that's about it.
Yeah, you could say that. But I'm hoping with the new regulations coming in, I mean, if the cars it allows us to follow cars really closely, who knows, we might actually see even better racing and
maybe
a lot of different tracks, because if we come to a place like Zandvoort and we have such amazing races like we have at Monza, it's going to be mental, the atmosphere will be mental. So that's all I want to say for Zandvoort.
Yep. I believe that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover for today. You guys have anything else to add? No?
I'm just interested to see who will partner Bottas and Alpha in the coming weeks.
I'm still thinking it's going to be Antonio.
Yeah.
I hope it's Antonio. He deserves to stay now. Honestly, he's not done anything wrong, to be honest.
Not done anything wrong, but I think Quali No is in the top running for some reason for that seat.
No, isn't he a Renault Academy driver?
He is. He's in Alpine Academy, but for some reason he's been in the top of the who might actually get that seat.
I'm hearing Callum Ilott because Ferrari links. He might get that maybe. But I feel it's a bit. I feel Antonio deserves to sit there. He's not done much wrong, and I think he's been ahead of Kimi a lot of times as well, in general.
Yep. It was actually very unlucky, if you ask me.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think what happened was that Fred gave him 3 races, I think, to prove himself to get the seat. But I mean, Spa and Zandvoort, we can't count that. So I think we have to see. I'm half confident he'll get the seat. I'm also half confident he might lose that seat. So.
Would you want him to stay?
I don't think he'll be. I think he should stay because it's some form of continuity between Alpha and him. Because having a complete new lineup kind of messes up things a bit, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So
I just don't think it's something you need going into a completely new kind of
regulations.
era.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I think hopefully they keep Antonio. But we'll see. Maybe for all Kubica suddenly gets a seat and we're like, whoa.
he isn't last, so you never
That's
know.
true. Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of it for our Monza review and a couple of other things as well. We haven't really been doing a lot of F1 recently, partly because there's not much to talk about with the races, also partly because I've been kind of busy recently. But we do hope to be bringing you more episodes in the future. Yeah, we're just going to be trying our best to bring out the content that you guys want to watch. So, if there's nothing else from us, I would just like to say thank you to Sharat again for always being there when we need you to help us with an episode.
And we'll be sure to call you when Max crashes out again next time.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. I can't wait, man.
Next time when Max crashes out, right, if you have a radio function saying call Charlotte, you're on the next podcast. Let's do this.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it from myself, Tarun, from Yash and Sharat, and we'll see you guys with our next episode. So until then, ciao guys.
Bye-bye.